Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Throwback Thursday. Guess what finally got restocked? The Sonia G Lotus brushes. So I know not everyone was fortunate enough to pick up one of these sets when they initially released last year. I was actually one of them. I was able to snag 2 of her brushes, but I was finally able to get a full set. So today's video is going to be a review and full demo of these Lotus brushes. So if you were thinking about picking up one or several of the Lotus brushes and you weren't sure if they were worth the money or not, then this video is definitely for you. So if you're excited to see how these brushes perform on my 30+ oily dehydrated acne prone skin, then don't forget to hit the like button, the notification bell, and let's get started right now. So let's first go over a couple of quick details about these Sonia G Lotus brushes. So this brush set, if purchased together, come with 3 face and 3 eye brushes. Or if you weren't interested in picking up the entire collection, then you can purchase these brushes individually as of right now. First up is the Lotus Base. This brush is a mix of synthetic and natural Soho goat hair. Next up is the Lotus Cheek. This brush is undyed Psycho goat hair. Next is the Lotus Detail. This brush is natural Psycho goat hair. Next, the Lotus Worker. Also undyed Psycho goat hair. Next, the Lotus Builder. Once again, undyed natural Psycho goat hair. And lastly, the Soft Definer. This brush is dyed Psycho goat hair. Now you will see in just a moment here how versatile these brushes are. Now because the Lotus Cheek, Lotus Worker, and Lotus Builder are undyed Psycho goat hair, they can work with both creams and powders. Now because the Lotus Fan Brush has a mix of natural and synthetic fibers, this brush will also work great with creams and liquids and foundation in particular. So here are the 3 face brushes: Lotus Base, Lotus Cheek, and Lotus Detail. And here are the 3 eye brushes: the Lotus Worker, Lotus Builder, and Lotus Definer. Now you may have noticed that I have used the Lotus Base and Lotus Detail brush in a few of my videos. That's because these 2 brushes were the only ones that I was able to grab before they came back in restock. So now that they are fully restocked, I was able to complete the collection. Now if you have never tried a Sonia G brush, I just have to say the artistry and the way these brushes are crafted, they are just absolutely exquisite, especially in person. Now, I'm not sure if you will be able to pick this up on camera, but the attention to detail, it is just unbelievable. So once you get down to the end of the handle here, there are actually micro glitters. So once again, the artwork and the detail, these are just absolutely beautiful brushes. All right, next let's get started with application now. Lotus Base. So once again, this brush is a mix of synthetic and Soho goat hair. So this brush I find works incredible with all foundations, but if you have any sort of balms or foundations that are a little bit stiffer in consistency, this brush will definitely do a fantastic job at blending. Going in with the Wayne Goss Luxury Cream Foundation in shade number 10. Now what's kind of interesting is I am not a fan of traditional paddle brushes, just because I find they don't really press the product into my skin as much as I need them to. But because this brush has just the right amount of density, it just makes it so easy and quickly to blend the product into the skin. I don't find it leaves any sort of brush strokes, and the texture, it is one of the softest foundation brushes I own. So you can do a combination of buffing or paddling on the skin. And that's it. We're done with this side. Now another thing that I absolutely love about the Lotus Base brush is the size of this. It is perfect for going between the brows, around the brows, or in the nose creases. It makes it so quick and easy, especially if you like a little bit more detail work or precision with your foundation application. So I'm just taking whatever is left on the brush between the brows and also on the forehead. Because I have bangs now, I don't really need to add a ton of product. But look how seamless this blends around the brows and right between. I brought you guys in a little bit closer, that way you can see what the foundation is looking like with the Lotus Base. So not only does the size make it very convenient for precision, but I find the overall finish, it just looks very airbrushed. Sticking with the same Lotus Base brush, next I want to go in with cream contour. This is the Mario Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. So I've actually been going in with my cream contour first before I go in with concealer, because oftentimes I find I take this down or up a little bit too high, so that's why I'm going in this order today. So see how this brush just fits into the hollows of the cheek so well? Now I kind of use this product as a contour and bronzer duo just because the shade works so nicely on my undertone. And it fits around the hairline so easily. Now because this brush is pinched more on the outside of either side, I do find you can get away with using this brush for nose contour simply by focusing the product towards the outer portion as opposed to the inner. Now is it a little bit big if you are more into precise nose contour? Yes, definitely. But can you get away with it? For sure. Alright, next up, let's go in with concealer. This is the Tarte Ultra Creamy in the shade 12B. So we are going to assume that this brush set is the only brush set in your entire collection. So if so, you could certainly use the Lotus Base brush for concealer, especially since it has those pinched edges. However, you could also go in with the Lotus Worker. So I'm going to focus the tip of my brush right here for concealer. You know, the nice thing too is this brush really hugs underneath the eyes so nicely. So while the size of this brush may not necessarily be ideal for concealer, I just wanted to show you how great of a job it does and how versatile it is with all these different application methods. As you can see, I don't use a ton of concealer. I did wipe off the brush before I laid down the product, or not the brush, but the doe foot. Let's get the other side blended out here. Now I always like to clean up my cream bronzer or cream contour a little bit with concealer. So I'm going to lay down a very small line right here and blend out with the Lotus Base. Just blends so quickly. Alright, that's it. Alright, next up we are going to move on to the Lotus Cheek Brush. I know I spent quite a bit of time on the Lotus Base, but I really wanted to show how many different types of products you can apply with it. Alright, I am sure I'm going to mispronounce this, but next let's go in with one of the new e.l.f. Luminous Putty blushes in the shade Isla del Sol. Now I've seen quite a few people using this brush for powder, which of course you can use this for setting powder, blush powder, any sort of powder. But I wanted to try it out with a cream, so I'm going to dip the brush directly in the pot. Now hopefully you can tell as far as the size of the Lotus Cheek, it definitely is a little bit smaller brush than your typical blush brush, which I personally like, but it does have a little bit of fluff to it, so I would imagine that this brush does a great job at diffusing blush. Alright, so let's use this for our blush. These brushes just feel so soft on the skin. If you have any sort of sensitive skin and you find that synthetic bristles really irritate, this collection, it is nice. So this is the first time I'm actually using the Lotus Cheek Brush, and right away what I'm noticing is the application for blush, it is definitely a much more diffused look, which I personally like. Now keep in mind, I did not go in with a ton of product, but this just does such a great job at diffusing the blush. Yeah, I feel like this just does such a great job at adding a little pop of color. I always take just a little bit of whatever is left over on my blush brush on the nose. Alright, I am so happy with the Lotus Cheek Brush so far. As far as laying down creams, this gives a beautiful natural flush. You know, I would also imagine that because of the size, you could probably use this for setting underneath the eyes with powder, Might be a little bit bigger than normal, but I would imagine you could get away with it. All right, next let's move on to highlighter. This is a new highlighter from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now the actual product is not new, but she has a new shade in her highlight stick, and this is called Pink Diamond. This looks like a beautiful highlight, however it looks more champagne than pink. Now let me just say really quickly, because I have had the Lotus Detail brush for quite some time, this brush I absolutely love for blush. Because of the splay and the angle that this brush provides, it gives me that more precise blush application that I like. However, because of the size, I find this brush is so versatile. So next, you would be able to apply highlight with this brush, as well as setting underneath the eyes with powder. You can use it with creams, powders, anything really. So I did want to test out the Lotus Cheek for blush just to see how it did. So let's go in with the Lotus Detail for highlight. Now I am going to layer up my highlight with a powder one next, so I'm not going in with a ton of product. See how this just hugs that area so nicely? And it does the exact same thing for setting underneath the eyes and for blush. Now this brush definitely splays out much more than any of the other brushes I have. So if I were to really press down, hopefully you can see how much that brush opens. So I feel like all of these brushes, while you can certainly build up product, they really sit very natural on the skin just because of how they're crafted. All right, that looks beautiful. Just a little bit of highlight to lay down before we go in with the powder. Now what I am doing is where I want a little bit more precision. Even though this brush is very precise, it is pretty flimsy because that is how it is designed. So you can actually grip the brush and go in with more product directly like this, or simply hold the brush like I am doing. So just another way to get a different type of application. So that was most of the cream application for the face. Next, I want to show you how to use these two brushes for some powder products. So let's use the Lotus Cheek brush to go in with the new Tarte Matte Bronzer. So I told you guys these brushes are so versatile. So you could use this for powder, for blush, bronzer, creams. Really the options are endless. So I'm just going to take just a little bit of that powder bronzer right here. See how that lays it down so perfectly right underneath the cheekbones. Very quick and easy. And let's go back in with the Lotus Detail brush to apply a little bit of blush. This is one of the new Pat McGrath blush duos in the shade Venusian Sunrise. Now I am wiping these brushes off with a microfiber towel in between. So let's dip into the blush. See what I mean about the detail with the blush application? It just applies it exactly where you want it, and because of the splay, it really has that more natural finish. Now you can also do a buffing motion with this brush as well. Yeah, that added just a little bit more color. Alright, I'm going to take just a little bit of Wayne Goss's new setting powder before we go in with highlight. Now this brush would be perfect for a sweeping motion, but because I have acne prone skin, I don't want to move any of the areas that I spot concealed with. Alright, so far you guys, I feel like my skin looks so airbrushed using these brushes. Now I know I have a ton of makeup on already for the complexion, but I do want to use as many different products I can. So next, for the perimeter of the skin, I'm going to go back in with the Lotus Detail, and this is one of the Tarte Shape Tape Glow powders in the shade Sunlit. So this powder I really like to use on the perimeter because it adds a beautiful glow to the skin without adding any glitter or shimmer. So I'm going to kind of buff this into the edges. I feel like this powder just blends everything in so nicely. Take a little bit down the bridge of the nose. And I do like to use this powder across the entire forehead. This brush is so soft, definitely one of my favorites. You know, you could even do the reverse effect and use this brush for bronzer only and this one for blush, vice versa. They both work wonderfully in their own special way. All right, so the last step before we move on to the eye brushes, I mentioned I wanted to go back in with some powder highlight. So this is one of the new Pat McGrath highlighters in the shade Lunar Allure. Lotus Detail once again. I know my bangs look kind of funny, but I have to move them out of the way to apply the highlight. And you could use this either direction, but I find using it backwards works best for highlight. This highlighter is such a beautiful natural shade. Going back in with a little bit down the bridge of the nose. Cupid's bow again. All right, you guys, I am so impressed with how these brushes performed on my complexion. I have a lot of makeup on, not necessarily a lot of each item, but several different items, from creams to powders, all sorts of things. And I feel like my complexion looks so airbrushed. What do you guys think? All right, well, next let's move on to the eye brushes. So I have two eye products here. One of them is a brand new product from Tarte. These are called the Eye Smoothies, and I have the shade Mauve, so this is a cream eyeshadow. And then I have actually never tested out Urban Decay's single eyeshadows, and I've heard so many good things about the shade Space Cowboy, so let's go in with these two next. So I just moved my bangs out of the way, and what I'm thinking of doing is just laying down a little bit of pigment in the outer corner to kind of do a one and done shadow. And let's see how the worker brush does at blending this out. So that's just a little bit of product right there. So let's take the worker and do a little bit of blending. All right, that blended out in like 10 seconds. So what do you guys think? I'm going to build this up just a little bit because I did wipe off the doe foot, so I didn't apply a ton of product. I really want to put this brush to the test. So the nice thing I really like about this brush is you can use it in two different directions. So you can use it this way with the flat edge more horizontal, or you can turn the brush vertical and have a little bit more of a diffuse application. But this did a super quick job at blending the shade out. Yeah, this looks nice. Wow, you guys. So the way this brush diffused that cream shadow so quickly, and you know, the interesting thing is usually when I go in with cream shadows, usually I have to take one brush to lay down the product and then pick up another brush. Otherwise, it can get really muddy in the crease. But this looks so nice and diffused. I don't even need to go in with a second brush. All right, let's get the other eye on. All right, listen, I have never used an eyeshadow brush that blended out cream so quickly. And not only that, as I just mentioned, I only had to use this one brush, and I feel like the blend on this cream shadow, it's superb. Now, what I will say is I do like this Tarte Sugar Rush Eye Smoothie formula, but be careful and do not tip this upside down when open, because look at what happened. A whole bunch of the product spilled out. So I'm going to pick up the next brush and just use whatever is left on this paper towel. That way I don't waste it. And let's see how this brush does on the lower lash line. Now this is definitely more of a packer brush, so I would imagine this brush probably works great for picking up shimmers. So we'll do that in a second here. All right, this is doing a great job on the lower lash line. You know, a lot of these brushes that are in this type of shape, sometimes they can be really pokey on the lower lash line, but this brush is just super soft. All right, both of these brushes did a phenomenal job at blending out this cream shadow. I will say, however, at least so far, The worker brush, this bigger one right here, is definitely the standout for me. I feel like because of the shape, it is a very unique brush because as you can see compared to this one, the bristles are much taller, but it still does a great job at blending and laying the product down. Now real quick, I also have the Sigma switch that I use in addition to the microfiber towel. I find this does such a great job at removing creams from the brush. Alright, I'm dying to test out Space Cowboy. I've heard so many great things about these Urban Decay singles, so let's go back in with the packer brush. Now usually with these types of shades, I have to go in with my finger, so I'm really curious if this will not only pick up the product, but lay it down as well. Alright, let's see. Here goes nothing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that definitely not only picks up the product, but lays it down. Oh my gosh, this shade is stunning. There is definitely micro shimmers in it, but it is gorgeous. It has almost like a rose gold taupey shift. Wow, I can't wait to show you guys up close. I feel like Space Cowboy would be that shade that you wear when you go out to dinner on a date or something like that. And when the light catches it just right, you are going to shine to the gods. Alright, that was one of the quickest eyeshadow looks I've ever done, but we actually have one more brush left, which is the Lotus Definer. Now, the Definer brush was one of the brushes that I was definitely the most interested in as far as the eye brushes go. And that's because most pencil brushes, when you use them on the lower lash line, they really tug and irritate my eyes. And this brush doesn't seem to be quite as stout. It's a little bit longer. And there's also more flexibility than your traditional pencil brush. So super excited to go on with this one next. Now, out of all the highlighters that I have in my collection, the one I keep going back to when I really want the inner corner eye to really pop, it is the Lotus Base Age Prophecy Highlight. Now this brush might actually be a little bit too big for an inner corner highlight, but you don't know till you try. Alright you guys, let me add a little bit of mascara and I will show you up close what the final look looks like. Hi you guys, so as you can see I am outside. I wanted to show you what my skin is looking like in natural daylight. It's been a couple of hours since you last saw me. So let's talk about the Sonia G Lotus brushes. So I think I left off using the Lotus Definer, the smallest of the brushes, for an inner corner highlight. That did just fine. Is it a little bit big? Yes. Is it ideal for an inner corner highlight? No, but did it get the job done? Absolutely. So the first thing I have to say is that I have quite a bit of makeup on and I feel like my skin looks so smooth. It is pretty difficult with all the texture and breakouts and all of that good stuff that I have to get this kind of smooth application. These brushes did a phenomenal job on the base. Now, not only did the face brushes do an amazing job, but the eye brushes in this set are phenomenal. You guys saw how quickly these eye brushes blended out the cream and the powder. They made doing my makeup not only effortlessly, but they really inspired me to think outside of the box. So you guys are going to have to let me know what you think about the final look. Granted, I didn't do a super intricate eye look, but these brushes did an amazing job. I have only great things to say about them, and I'm so happy to have them part of my collection. So now I want to hear from you guys down below. Were you able to pick up these brushes when they first came out or on the restock that just happened? Do you love these brushes? Did you pass on them? Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Alright you guys, well I am so happy I decided to pick these up. I had so much fun creating this look. I can't wait to use these brushes in the future. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye guys!